recording. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We're here with Mr. Wilcoxen, representing 10th grade team, putting forth this pitch for the GLT chair position. Mr. Wilcoxen, you have the floor.
So first question of why are you interested in this position? I feel like I am a good leader. I've been in leadership positions. I feel like since I was in high school, I was part of multiple committees during high school for our principal, our curriculum for our district, um, captain of multiple sports teams, being in leadership positions here at Southland as the grade level chair, head coach for golf, been part of the track team as well. And I feel like I'm doing a good job and can keep us as the sophomore grade level moving in the right direction, keeping us on track and trying to improve in the ways that will make our students more successful. I'm also interested because I want to stay involved in the school. I don't want to just be a bell to bell teacher. And I've recently had to come to the decision to resign from my golf position to be able to give more of my time out of school to my kids. They're now getting into the ages where they're involved in their own sports and activities, so I need to be able to be there for them. This is a way of keeping me involved in outside of a teacher position here at Southland.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. You going, bro?
Uh, so as far as our team is, some strengths, I feel like the sophomore team itself is full of not just veteran teachers, but Southland veteran teachers. I feel like our team is the most veteran of being in this building. We've seen stuff pre-COVID, post-COVID. So I think that is one of our strengths is that we've all been here a while. We know what the expectations are and can keep children moving in the right direction. I think too, because we've all been here together, we all have a high level of respect for each other. And that we can go to each other and be like, hey, can we do this or let's try this? So we work well together and have that respect for each other as teachers. And then I think our team has a genuine care for our students. We want them to be the best versions of themselves, and we're willing to all come together as a team to make sure that is happening. Things that we can improve on that I've seen is more cohesiveness, more intercurricular activities. I know English and history, they do the research paper together, but as far as I know, that's the only cross-curricular work that we do. So I think if we can come together and do more things, involving my classroom and Johnson's classroom or James and somebody else's classroom, I think doing more intercurricular work would benefit the kids as well. Utilizing the tools that we have at our disposal. I've sent out the calendar so that way we can have a common sophomore calendar, just putting big projects, big exams on there so that way we're not slamming the kids. Everything's in the matter of 3 days, and then all of a sudden we've got 2-3 weeks where there's no tests or no projects or anything, and we're trying to avoid clustering those things together. So I think utilizing the tools that we have available, and then I think just a more day-to-day communication between the team, even if it's just me as a grade level chair sending out a morning email, checking in, saying, "Hey, just a reminder what does everybody got going on today? Anybody got a big test?" So we can um, congratulate kids on if they just took a test and did well, or say, "Hey, good luck today. I know you got a big math test or a big history test. Good luck. Did you study?" And even if we've got a little bit of break in our class time, say, "Hey, we got 10 minutes left. Yeah, I know you got a history test coming up later today. Why don't you study a little bit more?" So I think doing things like that just to set them up for success could help us.
Okay, makes sense. Those are good ones. Okay. What do you think is the greatest strength amongst your team? I mean, you're in a good position, has been with the team for some time, and had a chance to be the grade level team leader.
I think our biggest strength is our ability to work with each other. Since I think the veteranness that we have, that we bring, um, and that we're able to bring this year, Mr. James, new teacher, to teaching, new teacher to us in general, and he's thrown in with all of his veterans. He in our first grade level meeting, he was rattling off questions,
Mhm.
and we were able to answer his questions, not just from one point of view, but from multiple points of view from being in the building. And he's actually changed his teaching style a little bit
Mhm.
to more coincide with what is going on in the building. He said at the beginning of the year he was giving out a lot of homework, and after talking to us, it's like now we try to stick towards classwork, getting it done so that way the kids can ask us questions and they're performing better on that work then instead of trying to do it outside with all their activities and sports and things like that. So he's kind of curtailed his homework and changed it more towards classwork. So I think having that veteran presence in our grade level is our biggest strength.
Okay, cool. That's good. Thank you.
For next year, I think my vision and our mission should be to utilize all the tools that we have at our disposal. Like I said, we want to make sure these kids are being as successful as possible. So sticking with just throwing stuff in the calendar, talking to each other, communicating, even if it's, creating a Google Classroom just for us, that we can post things into and that we all have at our disposal. If we find something that the kids really liked and enjoyed in our class, we can throw it into our common Google Classroom and teachers can grab it.
Mhm.
That way it's not more of a, gotta track each other down and hand it to each other. It can be all in there. Um, and more intercurricular activities. I know we all go to Northwestern, but we're all looking for now trying to find something for the whole sophomore class to go out and do outside of the building. Um, so I think we're all trying to find something to do in the spring because we know we do the college trip in the fall. So we want to find something to do in the spring
Okay.
to kind of give the kids something to work towards and look forward to in the second half of the year. Um, and then also talking to our team, we want the sophomores to have the strongest growth on their from their beginning of the year to end of year testing. We want the sophomores to have the biggest growth. We want to outgrow the juniors and outgrow the freshmen.
Okay.
So I'd say that's our biggest vision for next year is have the strongest growth in the school for our grade level.
Cool. Cool. Very good. So if I'm here next year, building on calendaring, communication, leveraging the Google Suite to do that, um, building on experiential opportunities, specifically having something in the spring to bookend what happens in the fall so they can have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And then just in terms of potential growth, on performance ability, BOY to EOY, out class in 9 and 11.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
So yeah, goals kind of hit on those same things. I want the team to lock in and use the calendar, use everything at our disposal to communicate. Um, and then I would like us to see a 1.5 point increase across the board. Every area of the ACT go up 1.5 across the board from beginning of year to end of year. And then I think trying to catch the kids earlier, so an earlier intervention for kids who seem to be struggling. Um, if we can try to catch them earlier in the first semester and kind of get them corrected and set up better for the second semester. That way they're not having to make up multiple credits over the summer if we can cut it down and catch those kids early enough and try to help them out rather than waiting and be like, oh, you failed 4 classes. Can we get it down to one? Catch it earlier. So I think that's a goal that we should have is to catch those things earlier. And I think that comes to us meeting as a team more often earlier in the year to kind of say, hey, so and so struggling in my class. Oh, they're doing great in my class. This is what I'm doing. Try this out. See if we can get that corrected before it's too late.
Okay. And then in terms of meeting, what do you think that would look like to get to where you want to go?
I would like us to have time carved out in one of our first institute days of the year, like
Okay.
right at the beginning
Okay.
of the school year. Um, one to get us together, get us on the same page, right as we start, but then also we might have a new teacher to us and we want to bring them in, you know, and welcome them into the family, welcome them into the 10th grade family, and kind of just tell them what the expectations are for our grade level. And this is what we're doing, this is what we expect. So that way they're not just, you know, first time we meet is October and they're like, oh, I've been doing this for the last month and a half. I didn't know.
Yep.
So I think just carving out time for us to meet in one of those first Institute days at the beginning of the year would really help kind of springboard us into the year.
Okay. Cool. Trying to think through the other things that I've heard people say. What do you think, in terms of 10th grade team, needs to be developed in relation to fostering consistency?
I think we need to have a common late work policy across the board. That way these kids aren't prioritizing certain classes over other classes based on what that teacher's late work policy is, because I know that does happen. I know especially it happens in the junior level, kids are prioritizing Epson over everybody. And it's not that they're making the other classes seem like they don't matter as much, but it's they know I gotta get Epson done first, no matter what. But I think we all have that common late work policy, then it's on the kids to get everything done, manage your time versus managing who's due when, who will take it late, who won't take it late. Because as we know, once you get to college, it's in on time or it's not.
Yeah.
So I think having a graduated for sophomores, they're still in that transition stage, I would say, from middle school, you know, to high school. They've only got 1 year under the belt. So I would like to see our first quarter late work policy. If it's not turned on time, max it's going to get is a 90%. And then second quarter move it down to 80. And then second semester, because by that time now you got a year and a half in, you should be able to get things in on time, having a max at 75%. And obviously those are adjustable. Those are just numbers that I think would work to get them used to it. And that way we're not trying to tank the kids' grades. If they're doing the work and getting it in, they should get credit. But they shouldn't get the same credit as kids who did it on time. So, and I've also believed to getting in by the end of the unit. Because if we've already taken the test on it, then you've already been testing on it. Yeah, you're doing the work, but it needs to be in by the end of the test, by the day that we take the test.
So what I'm hearing is there is a need for developing a common late work policy. Students have intuitively and wisely, prioritize classes by their individual teacher's policy. By creating a consistent one across the board, this will challenge them to, develop time management skills as opposed to just working the system. And obviously, we have to do that in tandem with the calendaring and to make sure that, we aren't overwhelming kids where it's impossible for them to manage in relation to it. In other words, not trying to tank them on it, but trying to help them develop, more consistent management and completion of work. And also, there'll be a progressive sense of what weighting or percentage off for late work will look like through the year to prepare them for 11th grade. And there should be some sort of cap if we have unit-based, classes. So in other words, if we're doing polynomials and math, once we're done with polynomials, the polynomials book is closed, so to speak, because we had an assessment on polynomials, right? And the point of doing the work was to get ready for the polynomial assessment. So what's the point after the assessment to do the homework?
No point in practicing after you play the game.
Exactly. Got it. Thank you for the physical education analogy. No problem. Perfect.
I also think we need to be more consistent on cell phones and food across the board. I know some teachers are a little bit more lenient than others, but then it becomes a problem for the teachers who aren't as lenient. I think we need to be more consistent, and that not just even across 10th grade, across the school. And I know it's a topic every year. And I feel like we always start out strong, but then there are some teachers who
Yeah.
let it go, and then it becomes a problem for those of us who don't let it go,
Mhm.
and then we end up being we're the strict ones, we're the hard ones, and it makes us look like we're being mean and everything. Is no, we're just these are the rules that are set forth. We're trying to follow them,
Yeah.
and so I think we just as a team need to be hold our ground. This is what it is. Because I mean we're dealing with the food issue now down in the gym where we're getting
Oh, yeah.
critters now, and it's just like
That's surprising.
it's like we told you guys don't bring food down here. So and the well so let's have it like that's their class.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then I think more communication, and especially in regards to holding students.
Hmm.
I feel like that has been an issue on our grade level in the past.
So when you say communication of holding students, oh, you mean in terms of keeping students? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's been an issue. Okay.
Yeah, I think that just needs to be just shored up, and I feel like if it sometimes it's necessary. I'm not saying don't keep my kids, like got to get to me, but
Sometimes it'll happen.
a quick email, or if we just all share out cell phone numbers and a quick text like, hey, I got so and so, they'll be down in 5 minutes. That way I know, okay, this is where they're at to come in.
Right.
Because sometimes it's 10, 20 minutes later, and especially for me, like they got to get changed. We've got a time that we lock the doors, they can't get in changed. Now they can't get full points because they can't get in changed. So like especially for me, like so if I know, all right, I gotta lock up in 2 minutes, they're on their way down, I can give a little bit of grace, let them in, things like that. But I think that's been a struggle for our grade level is just holding students back without the communication
Mhm.
of doing that.
Yeah. And that sometimes it takes time to develop, but as long as there's a continual, conversation about it. And as you say, the more that you guys spend time together, the better and the easier it's going to be able to develop, that synergy.
Yeah, because I've gotten the response like, "Oh, I thought you knew they were with me." Like, oh, so just quick email, text, if we can get to that level. That way, it's just something. Like I said, it doesn't have to be long or anything. Just quick. Hey, got them.
Yeah,
They're gonna
basic
be
communication.
down in a second. Um,
Okay. And lastly, what do you need from leadership, administration?
so I already touched on that Institute Day. I think that really would help the beginning of the year Institute Day, having some time together. And not only that, like time together, so that way if we've got an idea or something, we can run it by you guys as early as
Really?
possible. To kind of get the ball rolling. If it's, we find something that we want to go do in the spring,
Mhm.
we need to get the ball rolling. If we can do that as early as possible. More time together throughout the year. Um, the people on my team that I've talked to, we feel like our grade level time together is more
Yeah.
beneficial.
Yeah, and it's way short.
And it feels like we have department meetings all the time, and then grade levels thrown in here and there.
And sprinkled.
Yeah. So I think more time together is going to help us as a team grow together,
Mhm.
and then the more on the same page that we are,
Mhm.
our kids are going to be. So that would be one thing, and then some out of school opportunities for us teachers, not the kids, but us teachers. Just things for us to have that we're not in the building, we're not seen as colleagues. We can go out and mingle, talk, have conversations without, is there a kid listening and
Right.
things like that. Just more opportunities to do that, even if it's, we get I know they're not bad, not good right now, but a Sox game or, going to a game or going to um the Forge in Lamont where they got all these different outdoor activities or even just walking the trail along the river, like just things that can get us out but keep us together. And that I think is gonna help us all grow together as colleagues too. Um, and I think the more together we are as a team, the better it's gonna be for the students. And they're gonna see that we're working well together. Um, and I think it'll rub off on the students.
Mhm. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is one, revisit to getting a good start, a really strong start out of the gate with having dedicated time during Institute Day. Number two, protecting more time for grade level team, because this year, as we've been building towards it, departmental time has been a lot more consistent. GLT has been more of a sprinkling. And then finally, just access to team building, team building that can take place inside, outside the building where, teams can build, trust, experiences, just time, in a way that, is superfluous. And ideally outside of the building where you won't be in earshot of kids, because at our school, kids are
Always around.
always here.
Yeah, we just get to know each other as people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus I know you as a teacher, but I don't know anything about
No,
you.
anything as a person.
Yeah.
And team building, would be a great way to do that from a grade level standpoint and also just from a collegial standpoint. Great suggestions. Okay. And great needs. These are things that, again, as usual, what we've seen in all the presentations, a lot of things that, I certainly haven't thought about. And I think as a leadership admin team, we may not have thought about or have overlooked. So this is really good. All right. Anything else?
That's all.
All right. Questions? Any questions for us?
I don't think so.
I mean, you've done it before, so it's not a new position. Our hope is in doing this now is to one, obviously, take the pitch, the ideas, and give, our leaders an opportunity to share this with their teams, before the end of the year, to kind of get the team thinking and wrapping around what it's going to look like for next year. And heaven forbid, maybe even come together and plan before the summer, to think about what next year is going to look like, so that you don't have to necessarily, start at the beginning. We actually have time. And this is what I always say about data driven anything working with kids. Like, we know 80% of what kids are going to be here next year.
Yeah.
Why are we not taking this time, in April and May to start really preparing for what it looks like for them in the fall? Like, why are we waiting for August anyway? We know they're coming, and as far as our teams, there's always going to be some turnover, but I think at Southland, we have very low turnover in general. COVID's the only moment where I think we had any noticeable turnover. We usually lose maybe a teacher or two a year. So there's no way, or there's no reason why we can't begin thinking about next year now.
Yeah.
Now we certainly want to give people their summers, but we do want to give them an opportunity to think about reflecting it in some of the ideas over the summer. And if we do have teachers who are interested, in working and building towards, next fall in the summer, Doc has always been open and receptive, to compensating teachers who want to take leadership in making the school a better place. So that's what we're really trying to, really make some, just get all of our leaders identified now. We know May is pretty nuts, but at the same time, we can find time to at least come together once and just say, look, this is my pitch, for the team for the next year. What do you guys think about some of the ideas? What am I missing? What am I forgetting? How do we build on that? What do you think? So we don't have to, we don't have to wait until August. And heaven forbid, we definitely not gonna wait till the first GLT meeting, which is in September, October, which is ridiculous. So that's our whole goal. We want to again empower leadership, from the teachers, because I think that's going to improve and help solve a lot of the challenges we have. We talked. You mentioned in the example about starting the year strong with some of our expectations and things falling off. That's a very natural human way of anything. But if we have teams, and we have we have a variety of leaders that are working on holding us accountable, to those expectations, it becomes a lot easier. So in other words, if we've got multiple leaders continuing to toe the line with smaller teams, just to say like, hey, if we've got a ninth grade team leader that's saying, hey, remember we said, man, no food, because it may not be an issue with the seniors. It may be a freshman issue. But if our leaders are holding that line amongst the colleagues, yeah, you're right. We got to chill on the food, right? 12th graders, no. I mean, we know they're seniors. They still can't use their phones. Now, we know they're 3 months away, but we're going to, as a group of teachers, not as the administration who can't be everywhere at the same time, but as us, as a group of teachers, we're going to let our students know, like, no, And again, that happens, a lot easier when you have smaller vested teams that know each other. And I
Yeah.
think that's what you're going for, is developing a team that has a real team mentality. And once you begin to have a real team, then you actually start listening to each other, communicate with each
Yeah.
other, and things will, as you say, get better. So love it, man. I have no questions. I mean, you pretty much any question I had, you kind of anticipated it. The one question I had was just, what do you think the greatest strength is? I think there's a lot of individual strength on your team, and I haven't had the opportunity to sit in on 10th grade level
Yeah, I mean, I think
meetings.
we range from James being a first year teacher to Panazzo,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who's been MVP here multiple years, you
Yeah.
know. So we've got that range. We've got the Southland veteranism too, to just kind of put that all together. So I feel like we are a team that can sit there and bounce things off of each
Yeah.
other from
Yeah.
those perspectives.
I've always been really curious. I just haven't had the chance, sit in with your group. So I was just curious personally to see what you see as the greatest strength. Because again, I see individual strength that's quite ever present. So okay. All right. Well, if there's no other things, I think we're good. Mr. Wilcoxen, we want to thank you for this presentation. We're gonna click stop and send it to everybody like right now. So
Okay.
watch it. Watch it now.